Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Unfiltered and Functional. I'm your host, Mandy, and I'm here with my bestie, Sashi Baby.
Hello.
And we're both super excited for this one, guys. Okay, I'm going to start with the fine print here. This is not medical advice. If you are interested in any of the information that we are talking about today, our DMs are open, but please consult a medical professional, a functional health coach, your doctor, etc. That's the little fine print. Let's get that out of the way straight off the bat. Just, responsibility and such. Now, this is an episode that we might actually end up revisiting with a part two, maybe even a part three.
And a four
And
and a five.
I don't, honestly, girl, for real, we're going to be talking about the very popular weight loss medications. Now, I know every single person that is listening to this knows at least one person, if not more than one person, that has tried these or is currently on them or has talked about wanting to get on them or use them one day or something like that. And I also want to lead this by saying, me personally, I do not see anything wrong with these medications. I don't have a problem with these medications. What I have a problem with is misinformed consent or incomplete informed consent regarding using these medications and understanding how they impact your health. And the other thing that makes me a little bit nervous about these medications becoming so popular despite being around for quite a while is there seems to be a correspondence between these medications becoming mainstream and a return of the quote unquote skinny culture. And as as a baby that grew up in the 90s, this literally hurts my heart seeing on social media, on TikTok, everywhere, celebrities really kind of glorifying this ultra skinny trend again. If you're naturally thin, cool. Like, get down with yourself. If you're naturally like bigger, get down with yourself. Like, love yourself no matter what. But I want you guys to understand that losing weight does not equate to health overall. Before we kind of dive into the science behind all of this, Sasha, I know that you have a little bit that you want to say here too. And I want to ask you, have you noticed any pressure right now to be smaller instead of healthier in social media trends? Or have your clients said anything or any of your friends dealt with this?
I love that question and I love this topic. And I have so much to say to answer that specific question with the rise of skinny culture. I am in a place right now, mentally, physically, in my bodybuilding journey, in my growth phase, where seeing people lean, like, do I kind of get a little bit of FOMO of, oh, I miss competing and like I can't wait to get lean again and clean up and this and that. Yeah, here and there, but I'm also at a point where I'm not affected by that because I understand that it is not healthy. And this is me talking now. Had you asked me that question 3 years ago, I would have been like, yeah, I'm not doing my growth season anymore. I want to cut down, like now.
Mm.
And it's something that I'm really grateful that I've worked through that and that I'm not affected by skinny culture to the point where I want to participate in such thing because that is not in alignment with myself or my goals or like where I'm at right now. I do see that in some of my clients, they, whether it's related to skinny culture or not, like have a harder time getting over it's the mental aspect of putting on healthy weight and getting stronger and putting on muscle, which requires you to not be in the skinny culture. When I notice that, I reassure them that the goal isn't a number on the scale. The goal is how your health is, how we're optimizing your health, how you feel, how you're training, how's your strength, how's your lab work. The goal isn't the number on the scale or having a ripped six pack. Like if you genetically are leaner in your midsection and could still carry a good amount of fat in like your legs or whatever and like healthy, awesome, cool. Like you said, roll with it, do your thing. But this epidemic of
Mhm.
needing to be skinny, smaller than yourself is so it's terrible. And as a bodybuilder who competed and is planning to compete again, skinny culture applies to bodybuilding as well because there are bodybuilders who preach about how much they love prep. And the reason why they love prep is because they love being skinny.
It's definitely you called it. It's an epidemic and it's very detrimental. And
Yeah.
honestly, you know what? I think I'm gonna throw it out there. If you guys are listening and you want us to do a part two episode right now, not right now, but if you guys want us to do a part two episode on the implications of society for these weight loss meds and what it does to women, especially those of us who have grown up in the 90s and the 2000s with that, Kate Moss-esque figure is the typical perfect woman type body, whatever. I think we should do that. So if you guys want it, comments, please let us know. If not, we're not going to prioritize it. So if you want to, tell us.
Yeah.
Let's get into a little bit of the science and what is actually going on with these medications. Why they work, because they do work. And the reason that they do work for so many people is they do help reducing impulsive eating. They help with improving insulin resistance, which affects a lot of people, especially with like our ultra processed foods that have been pretty mainstream in the standard American diet. They help lower those blood sugar spikes that we get from our standard American diet. And it makes it easier to create a larger calorie deficit for most people. So that's why they work well for some people. We're going to touch on that in a little bit though. So what are the mainstream meds right now for the weight loss meds? Semaglutide, also known as Ozempic, Wegovy. This is a pure GLP-1 agonist. So that's kind of only working on one hormone angle here. It signals that you're full, so then you'll stop eating sooner. Now, this is a big one that it does as well. Slows gastric emptying, slows down your GI. So what this means for a lot of people is you are going to see changes in your pooping. There's no cute way to put it. And a lot of my clients, if they're not pooping every day, they're not happy, and I don't blame them. And that's not to say that you can't poop every day on semaglutide, because I know people who have pooped every day on semaglutide, but it is going to be a different experience, different quality, and it will suppress your appetite. The thing with semaglutide, though, is it usually has a little bit more side effects than tirzepatide, which we'll talk about next. But if you are not aware of them or you don't have processes in place to deal with that, it can be a little challenging. The next one is tirzepatide, also known as Mounjaro or Zepbound. So this one is going to be a GLP-1 GIP agonist. So this has two forms of impact here on our body. It's going to make it a little bit more potent. It's going to have a stronger appetite suppressant. Technically, from like just a chemistry point of view and a biological point of view, this one will produce faster weight loss results because we are working on two different mechanistic actions here. And an important point here is this one is usually better tolerated with side effects. Not to say that you won't get side effects, but it is usually a little bit better tolerated. And then there's a third one. And I know you guys are probably like, wait, what the heck? I've only heard of, Ozempic, and I've heard of Zepbound. What is this third one? Sasha and I are going to get to it because I know Sasha has like a little sidebar too. Retatrutide. Now, this one is actually a triple agonist. So in theory, this is going to make it triple strength, but this is not yet available on the markets. That's not to say that you can't get it through other means, but also this is not one I would recommend for a lot of people. It's very new. They're still working out some research on this as well. And this one has kind of like the same mechanisms. It's making sure you're full faster. It's gonna have an impact on your metabolism and fat oxidation as well. Now, Sash, when you look at these from like a coaching perspective, what do you think people misunderstand the most about these medications? Because I know you've had some experience, talked to some people. I know retatrutide is pretty up and coming right now in the bodybuilding community. I've known some people that have also taken it. So what are your thoughts with that?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't sure if I was going to share as many details as I'm going to share, but first and foremost, to be super straightforward, I tried retatrutide in the last 3 weeks of my prep. We were just pushing the last bit, and we just needed to cut more. And I tried retatrutide for 3 weeks. I mean, not counting easing off of it for another week or so. But from personal experience, it does suppress your appetite like crazy. It is not, and this answers the question of how, and I mean, I could share more about my experience with it. It's, I don't want to shy away from like what I've tried and what I've done, what worked for me and what didn't, and like share my real experience. But every single one of these things, I think the biggest misunderstanding that people have is that they can take these and see results. long lasting, life lasting results. You can see a quick fix. You can see a quick weight drop, or you're not as hungry, so you're not eating. And I want to preface by saying that when I was, for that very short period of time, taking retatrutide, I was taking the most micro dose of micro doses in the world, and I was eating all of my meals. It just helped me stay fuller for longer because my calories were very low because I was at the end of my prep. So this is not me sharing because this is what you should be doing if you are trying to, if you're in a calorie deficit, like be okay with hunger, be okay with that. And there just came a point when it was like, all right, we have a couple of weeks left to push and we kind of have to like press a little bit more. Otherwise, we're just not going to make the mark for the show. And I couldn't compete after that because I had breast augmentation scheduled. But anyways, coming back to my my response to your question is that if you take any of these, like Mandy said in the beginning, there's no shame around them. They could be very beneficial. They can help. They can give you a start. They can help you get the ball moving. But if these things are not paired with a whole foods diet, with eating the right macros for you, drinking water, hitting steps, training, like if these things are not paired with you doing additional things outside of that and you're only relying on the shot to get you results, once you get off the shot, you're fucked because you're going to go right back to where you were. And that's really what it comes down to. And I'm sorry if that sounded a little bit harsh, but I've seen the rebounds. I've seen the rebounds in people that I know. I've seen the rebounds in on social media. I've seen the rebounds where they get off the shot, they lost all this weight, they now start back whatever they were doing, and clearly what they were doing is the reason why they put on that weight to begin with. So if you don't create better habits for yourself, if you don't create a better relationship with food, if you don't learn these things, and you could learn them while you're doing these, like the shots and whatnot, but if you don't learn that, once the shots are gone, once you finish doing that, and once you hit that goal weight, you will bounce back if you don't have the knowledge of how to live a healthy life without that kind of support. Because these are not things that I believe should be used long term forever unless you're like diabetic or it's like do or die, like you absolutely have to. These are things that you use to boost you and then keep moving forward.
Well, shit, you made a lot of good points. And thank you for sharing like your personal experience. I definitely was not expecting that. I just meant,
I wasn't
you know,
either.
yeah, well, thank you. Because, yeah, it will always be honest, as comfortable as we are with things like that. And I'll be honest as well. I have not used any of these. I would, when applicable, in a end stage or reverse stage for a bodybuilding show, but I don't do that lightly. And it's not something I would stay on. I feel like we're going to get ahead a lot because you made so many good points because we are going to touch on that unless you're diabetic, yeah, you don't need to be on this for life. Yeah, you should have lifestyle foundation in place because if you do, then coming off of the shot, which you will need to do, is going to be that much easier to maintain the weight loss that you did because there does have to be a lifestyle change in there. So you make a lot of good points. I really appreciate the honesty there.
Yeah.
And I know it is. Retatrutide has become very big in the. I think bodybuilders are always going to be the first people that are like, "Ooh, let me try
That
this."
try shit out. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're like the science rats or whatever
Yeah.
that like try it out, see, do or
Yeah.
die.
So I do, again, I just want to hammer that in, guys. Retatrutide is not available mainstream as a prescription. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist out there. But as always, again, just be informed, be smart, ask questions, do your research, and make sure whatever you want to do, you're doing it through a professional provider, period. Okay.
Period.
That being said, I do want to talk about, because you also mentioned this as well, I want to talk about why these medications won't work for some people. Because, like you said, there have been some people that you've known that have lost a lot of weight and they stopped a shot and then it comes back on. Similarly, I've actually known a lot of people who have done one or both or one or the other of the shots and they stop taking it because they're like, well, I've lost 5 pounds, I've lost 6 pounds, I have 30 pounds to go, and it's been like 6 months and I've only lost 5 pounds. And they're like, well, why am I paying this money? And it's not really working as advertised per TikTok and, etc. on the commercials. There is a reason. If you have unaddressed gut issues, if you have unaddressed hormonal issues, if you have unaddressed inflammation, these shots are not going to fix it. These shots are not going to fix the root cause of what is driving those things. And if you do have those things in place, it pretty much boils down to inflammation. And that inflammation is going to block the full potential and the full benefit that you would get from the shot to lose that weight. So, the important thing to really understand here is that if you have high inflammation, your body's in survival mode. If your body's in survival mode, weight loss is gonna slow. That's when we're only seeing like that 5-6 pound drop over 4 to 6 months of time when it could be higher. Sash, when we're working with clients that want to focus on a weight loss goal, we tell them straight up a healthy amount of weight is gonna be half a pound to a pound per week. And you could do that naturally without the drug if you're only
Without, yeah,
losing 5 pounds in a 6 month period. So it like doesn't make sense to spend that money and impact your hormones in that way, in my opinion.
I agree.
That's one aspect of it. If you have gut dysfunction, I already touched on that these medications will slow down your digestion. So if you already have messed up digestion or a dysregulated gut, if you have constipation, SIBO, if you have a mold infection, if you have dysbiosis, these symptoms are going to get worse. It's not going to get better. It's going to get worse. That is going to cause more inflammation because we're not detoxing the way that we should. We're not getting those toxins out. We're going to get more estrogen recirculating because we're not detoxing, because our liver detoxes estrogen as well. More bloating, more nausea, more fatigue, more inflammation. You're going to create a negative feedback loop, and nobody's going to enjoy that. No one. Sash, I know you're familiar with this, just being a woman, period, but also with your clients and with your friends or whoever you've spoken with before. Have you noticed or talked to the women that are saying, like, I'm doing everything right, I still can't lose the weight? And it turns out, like, the one blocker that they have, whether they're going to use the shot or just like regular lifestyle, is that they have inflammation.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that absolutely the inflammation is a huge, huge aspect of it. And I truly believe that the idea of doing everything right, if you were doing everything right, you wouldn't have the inflammation that you had. And I don't say that lightly because inflammation can come from stress, it can come from bad sleep, it can come from a variety of things. But if you are truly doing everything right, if you're not eating processed foods that are causing you to be more inflamed, if you're addressing problems in your gut, like there's some things that you could truly be doing really, really good, but not even know how much deeper the problem really is and like what needs to be fixed from the inside out. And that's where you come in as a functional coach and you come in for blood work and you come in to get to the root of the problem because doing everything right, yeah, you could be in a calorie deficit, you could be doing cardio. I was there. I
Mm.
was there. Like I'm literally thinking about it. What was it? 2 years ago almost, I tried starting a bodybuilding prep, my second one. I was like incredibly inflamed. Like we're talking about like 10, 15 pounds of inflammation, like just straight up inflammation. You could see it in my face, you could see it in my body. Like I did not look healthy. I literally looked inflamed. And when I started up my prep, my calories were lowered, my cardio was increased. I couldn't drop a pound. I didn't drop a pound in like 3 weeks. And that's when I was like, all right, like I can't continue weight loss like this. I have to get my internals on point because there's something off because I'm hitting my macros, I'm hitting this, I'm hitting that, but something's really off right now. And it turned out that something was really off. My cortisol was high, my gut wasn't doing too great, my PCOS was flaring up. Like there were a lot of things off, but because I thought I was doing everything right, like textbook right, I was confused.
No, thank you for sharing that. It makes total sense. And even though you weren't looking to use like the shots at that point in time, it just kind of goes to show, even with natural interventions, inflammation is going to be a huge roadblock to seeing the results that you want to see. So, same thing with the shot. You're not going to see those results if you don't address the underlying root causes that are causing dysfunction and inflammation in the first place. I want to branch off again, something that you mentioned off the bat too, and it was that you need to have foundations in place, ideally before you start these shots, but absolutely during the time that you're using these medications. Usually, I think people will think, I'll just take the shot and my problems are like solved, and that's that, and I'm gonna skip off into the sunset as a size
Nope.
2 or 4. Like, no, the reality is you're still going to need protein. You definitely got to be weightlifting to protect against one of the side effects is going to be muscle wasting and bone loss if you are not weightlifting regularly. If you're weightlifting regularly, you don't have to worry about that. And I think that's a big misconception people don't realize too. you're also going to need to support digestion and you need to support your blood sugar. Now, it's going to be a little bit tricky because the shot's going to suppress your appetite, but that's when it is really beneficial to work closely with the healthcare provider, to work closely with the coach, because then you can troubleshoot the issues of how do I get enough protein in? How do I make sure I'm moving? Am I drinking enough water, etc.? Those have to be in place. I think another important thing that has to be in place, and again, not to just like pitch off here, but work with a coach that knows what they're talking about,
Big
because
time.
your appetite is suppressed, you're going to be at a higher risk for becoming nutrient deficient. That's just a fact. Not just protein deficient, but like iron, B vitamins, magnesium, things that
Potassium.
yes, yes. And as stressed out or high functioning women, we're already at high risk for being deficient in those things. So, again, if you're not working with a healthcare provider, work with a knowledgeable coach like yours truly here on Sash, myself, etc. Shameless plug, but these are things that we're also going to put in place while on it to make sure that you are avoiding these nutrient deficiencies, as well as maybe you mentioned it before as well, sleep, monitoring and regulating that. And the last thing I kind of want to touch on before we go into how to get off the shot is the mental health considerations, which we kind of talked about a little bit. Appetite suppression can disconnect people from their hunger cues, which means there's a disconnection between you and your body of sorts. And unless you have mental support in place, if you're prone to this sort of disconnection, this can worsen issues if you have restriction or binging tendencies. Sasha, have you seen this? Do you
Yeah. Yeah, I think that, oh gosh. The appetite suppression that comes with these shots and doing these injections is so overlooked because, like you said, it disconnects you from your normal hunger cues.
Mhm.
So then, and I know we'll talk about winding off of these medicines literally in the next topic, but when you are starting to wind off of them, your hunger cues will be so fucked that you will not actually know when you will have random cravings. Like there's just so much that goes into it and suppressing yourself and oh, gosh, I'm like word scramble. I'm trying to put the words together right now, but it does worsen your relationship with food. It does worsen that
if you had a bad
restriction binge
one?
cycle. If you had one, if you had a bad one. Yeah, like if the reason why you're on the shot is because you're losing weight, because you had a bad relationship with food and you've put on weight because of the relationship with food, coming off of the medicine, or even not, you'll look at it as a fix, as a band-aid to continue on with that bad relationship.
Mhm.
And speaking about it from like a bodybuilder standpoint, not myself, but I have seen bodybuilders in the fitness space who discover retatrutide. And I specifically speak on retatrutide because that is the one that I have the most experience with seeing. That's the only one that I have experience with personally. I do have clients that have experience with the other ones, and I understand about the other ones very well, but this can trickle into either one of the categories, but seeing a couple bodybuilders on social media who are using retatrutide, and then they'll go for days without tracking macros, binging out, eating whatever, doing whatever, and then they lock back in when they're done with their little binge cycle, continue on with the retatrutide, continue on with their certain type of eating, and then when they feel the need to binge again, like it just continues. And that is a scary thing to be in because when you don't have the shot to help stabilize you throughout the week, throughout the days, that will be your real life. The binging,
Mhm.
the restricting, the being scared of food and
Yeah.
having a bad relationship with food. And for anyone that's on the shot, not because they have a bad relationship with food, but maybe for like other health reasons or whatever the case may be, because the hunger cues are not checked in, that in itself could develop a difficult relationship with food because you'll be going after foods at random times that you're not even thinking about it. Because if you have experienced that disconnect between, okay, I'm actually hungry, it's been a couple hours, I need to eat right now, my body needs food, versus grazing or this or like just random eating, like there is a very big difference. And I am someone who had both experience, who had hunger cues completely thrown off, especially when reversing out of a bodybuilding prep and coming off of the retatrutide. And then being in a place right now where I'm the healthiest I've ever been and my hunger cues are, I would say, pretty freaking good.
You saying all that, like, guys, I'm definitely gonna add in the link just in case if anybody needs it, a support place for any eating disorders because it does, I think, touch not everybody going on a shot has one. But if you do have a poor relationship with food and you're seeing the shot as like a quote unquote solution to that, we just want to offer some support. So I'm going to throw that in the show notes as well. I think you also
And
make a
sorry, I don't want to I don't want to interrupt, but because, you just said that I also don't want it to get taken, that there is like any shame being created around having a difficult, like a hard relationship with food, because there was a point that I had a bad relationship with food. There was a point that you didn't have a great
oh yeah.
relationship with food. And that is something that it's not a life sentence. It is something that you can work through. It's something that you can have a better relationship. You can develop that better relationship. It does take work in order to do that. You can do that while at the same time getting on top of your health, whether it's through the shot paired with weight training or just getting your foot in the door with weight training or whatever the case is. But I don't want there to be any shame or guilt or anything like that built around a bad relationship with food, because we've all been there before to in one way or another. It's a very rare case if you haven't, and kudos to you if you haven't. It's something that is reversible. It's something that could be fixed, could be worked on, and there's light on the other side of the tunnel. So I just wanted to throw that in because I don't want it to be like, oh, she's heartless. She doesn't know what a bad relationship with food is like. So she's like saying that the whatever about the shot. It's like, no, I get it.
I love you for saying that. Very important distinction. And yes, we both have been there. And I've been very open about how I'll still struggle here and there. But the whole point, to your credit, what you said, it you can improve your relationship with food. Now when I do struggle, it's way fewer and far in between, and I catch it right away. And I'm like, oh, why is this
Yes.
happening? Oh, this is what I'm stressed going through, emotionally going through. And I'm like, okay, this isn't what I want to do. This behavior doesn't serve me, and then I pivot and it's so much easier. So I know not everyone's going to have that same journey that I had or that you had, but just to piggyback off what Sasha's saying, like there is no shame or guilt around it. We just want to make sure like we are offering resources to people and a perspective to maybe get you to look a little bit deeper inside to really ask yourself, why is this something that I want to utilize? And there's no wrong answer about it at all. Again, no shame, guilt. We just want to provide value and make sure that you are truly understanding what's happening in your body, whether it's physically or mentally. So,
Yeah. I
great
love that.
point. Thank you. Before I go on bridging off of it, I do want to add really quick, these shots could be excellent for certain individuals who do have the foundations in place. And maybe we're just seeing like a little bit of weight loss resistance, which happens. It can be really, really good for people trying to lose weight. And maybe they have insulin resistance. And that's the only thing that's kind of like holding them back. So it can also be a really positive tool if you're a good candidate for it. So I don't want you guys to think we're bashing this because again, these are wonderful medications. Just need to understand the proper application and how it's going to affect your body and
Yeah.
when it might not be a good time. Bridging off of it. You should bridge off of it. Unless you are a lifelong type 2 diabetic, you should be bridging off of this. And as Sasha alluded, appetite does come back and it comes back pretty hard if you don't have a plan in place or if you aren't actively working to retrain those hunger cues and to pinpoint like what is going on in your body. For me, and this is my opinion, there are other healthcare professional opinions, there are other coach opinions out there. My opinion is that when you have a proper bridge off plan, it should include the following, and that includes accountability of some sort. Doesn't matter if it's a doctor, doesn't matter if it's a coach, whatever. You need some accountability, support, and structure. So, the first thing is going to be rebuilding those hunger cues gradually. We didn't really touch on it, but these medications, in my opinion, should be microdose and then built up.
Yeah.
You should not start with a high dose. That's going to mess hormones up even more. Build it up. When you're bridging off, build it back, or I guess debuild it, de escalate,
Oh,
deconstruct
yeah,
it.
yeah. Deconstruct it.
Yeah,
Yeah. Break
slowly.
it down.
Break it
Slowly break it
down.
down.
Break it down.
Break it down now.
Dance.
Dance party.
Okay. Yas, queen. Okay. When you're on these meds, you build up slow. You also come down off of them slow, and that helps your hunger cues gradually get back in place. You should also be increasing calories strategically. That's not saying, if you have a dose down on the medication, you should not be increasing your calories by 300 calories. No.
No.
We should be slowly bridging calories up as medication is coming down. Prioritizing protein and balanced meals for healthy blood sugar because it will affect your blood sugar and insulin. It's meant to. Strength training, period.
Yes.
Whole time you're on it.
Yes.
Does not
No question.
matter. Supporting digestion. We talked about it is going to slow your digestion. So as your digestion ramps back up, you might need a little extra support. You might need some HCl. Not everyone, so don't take it blindly. You might need bitters. You might need motility support. That does not mean laxatives. People do not take laxatives when you're on this. Please, that is not the answer. Also important to rebuild your metabolism. Assess your hormones. Get blood work before and after while you're coming off of these. And then a really big one, supporting your nervous system during this transition because there's going to be a lot of moving parts, especially from an emotional angle. Unless you're someone that's able to like entirely detach from that, most of us are going to go through it feeling some type of way, right? And my ideal timeline for this would be about 4 to 12 weeks. It just kind of depends on the individual, how long they've been on it, what their goal for using it is, etc. That is my idea of like a bridge off plan. Again, it could look different depending on your practitioner, depending on your coach. And honestly, that would be subject to change depending on the individual as well. Sasha, do you feel like you've ever heard people talk about bridging off of these medications at all? And like, what do you think that people should know? 1 to 3 hard things. What should people know before they start taking these?
You can't hard start, you can't hard stop. And when taking it, you have to have a plan in place for what you're doing while you're taking it, what you're doing when you stop taking it. Because when you said 4 to 12 weeks, you said 4 to 10 weeks, 4 to 12 weeks.
Yeah.
I totally agree, depending on the dosage, depending on the person. I personally, in my experience, had a 2 week window, give or take, because I was going under surgery and I couldn't be on anything like that. So, but because of the microest micro dose that I was taking, I didn't need to bridge off for all that long because we had such a good plan in place. Like, if anything, we started bridging off before I even competed. Like, it was more so like the last 2 weeks, like leading up. We didn't hard start, we didn't hard stop. It was so small that we never went up more than pretty much what we started at.
Well, you weren't
And
on it that long either. Yeah, so that
no, I
makes
was
sense.
it was literally a total of 4 or 5 weeks. Like from
Yeah.
very start from the first injection to finish 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah, so
And
that's appropriate.
the most microest dose of all, and I'm not trying to be like, oh, I took the smallest dose, so like it was nothing. It was a lot. Like
Yeah.
I was not hungry and I was eating very little food at that time because of being a competitive bodybuilder. But I don't often hear people talking about bridging on or bridging off. And I think that is a very dangerous thing because you take your body from such a get it to such a high place to where it's like working overtime with these things. And then if you just crash it down, your body's going to crash with it and all of the things around it. Your eating habit, like all of these things is just going to be extremely hard because we have to remember how much this affects your hormones, your mindset, your mental state, like everything. So I love that you mentioned the bridging off part because I feel like that is not spoken about often and it's also not thought about often when someone decides to go on these medicines. There isn't a timeline in place. And kudos to the doctors and the coaches and the people that do the research and know that there is a timeline in place. I think it's very important to understand those things. And it's very important to also understand that this is not something that should be used lightly. And it's also not something that should be used with the idea that this is going to be the one singular thing that's going to change your whole life. It can help. It
Mm-hmm.
can support big changes that you make in your life. That also comes with pairing other very important things
Mm-hmm.
and habits.
I love that you reiterated that. And if I didn't make it clear at the beginning, these shots are hormones. So, because Sasha's like, hey, like, you have your hormones in place, like, they're going to affect your hormones. They will affect your hormones already in your body that your body's making because they are hormones, period.
Period.
So, that's all there is to it. And you also made a really good thing. God, I could talk about this subject forever. You said that you came off of it because you had a surgery scheduled. And working in the surgical environment as well, we have canceled people who don't come off their shots because it can pose a bleeding risk when you have surgery. For anybody that is like, oh, I want to take this shot, but also like I am going to have surgery like a planned surgery, obviously, not like emergency surgery. That's something to keep in mind. It should be planned. This should be a well thought out decision that you make for yourself, not just a whim because everyone else is doing it and it's trendy right now and you think it's going to let you skip the hard work, because at the end of the day, the hard work that you put in, and when I say hard work, I mean steps, the water, working out, all of that,
Training.
that is where the change happens. The shot is just going to give it a boost.
Yep.
But if you don't have the hard stuff in place, then you're going to be one of those individuals that I see and hear about all the time that take it for 6 months and lose maybe 5 to 6 pounds and get really frustrated about the money spent on it. So,
Yeah. Not to mention, and I don't want to jump to something that was already talked about because you talked about having a coach when doing something like this. If you can afford to pay for those shots, you can
mhm,
afford to have the proper guidance to be guided through
mhm,
taking these shots. And it's one thing to be guided by your doctor who knows all that they know is what it says on the prescription label and like side effects. It's
mhm,
another thing to be guided by someone that takes into consideration every other aspect of your life and will guide you in that to a T. Because, like we've mentioned in this podcast, you still need to be eating. Like, this is not you take the shot and you're fine, you're good to go. You still need to be eating that high protein, those balanced meals. Train everything that Mandy just said. And I feel like the reason why we're reiterating this so many times and saying it so many times and sound like freaking parrots because there's such a toxic mentality around I take the shot and it fixes all. I
mhm.
take the shot and I lose the weight. I take the shot and I look good. That's not how it works. Not to be blunt or super straightforward, but if you can afford the shot, you can afford support while taking the shot to make sure that you don't screw yourself over because I'm seeing stuff on social media that is just so incredibly upsetting and hearing things. And I heard two like 16-year-old girls, they looked maybe 15, 16, looked very young in the
Mm.
bathroom talking about how they're gonna start some shot to
Ooh.
help them with their appetite because they saw ex-influencer talk about how she takes it and it helps her with her appetite and like she's not as hungry when she takes it. And these are young girls that are not fully developed, that have not come anywhere close to their full potential or even
Mm.
80% of their potential. And they ordered these peptides. I mean, retatrutide is like a peptide
Yeah.
that they ordered online. They literally, the way that they were talking about it, it's like I could tell that they don't know what it is. They
Mm.
just know that their favorite influencer posted a link with her code and hey, go buy this because this will help you with their appetite. And that is terrifying. That is terrifying because we're gonna see over the next couple of years anyone who's doing this in an uncontrolled environment
Yeah.
will have downfalls. And I don't want to sound like a hypocrite because, yeah, I did retatrutide. Yeah, in the future, if need be, I'll do it again and I'll do it again. But it's in a controlled environment, it's with a timeline. Not to mention, I also didn't come close to it until if I showed you a picture of how I looked when I started it, you would be like, all right, yeah, this was like you were just putting a little extra icing on the cake. Like this wasn't used throughout my entire prep. This wasn't a
Yeah.
tool that I used forever. This was a tool that I used for 4 weeks.
Well, and the application for bodybuilders is going to be slightly different than the application for the average person that wants to lose some body fat, but oh God, that's it's terrifying because those influencers out there that are doing this and like being like, "Hey, use my code to get this from a peptide site that is not third party tested and you don't know what's in it." That is so grossly negligent to me. You don't know what you're putting in your body. And especially if you're not even fully developed yet,
No.
this is, I mean, our generation was basically like, hey, you want to suppress your appetite, take caffeine
Eat a spoon
pills.
of peanut
Yeah,
butter or
like,
eat a
oh
spoon
God,
of peanut.
military diet. Yeah. Like we had stuff like that, but we didn't have like, oh, take this hormone that,
I just wanted to share that because I know that that's a little bit off the topic, but hearing these kinds of conversations amongst such young girls and consider like they were not considered like I saw them, I saw what they looked like, and we're talking about girl, clean up your diet and do some cardio and you'll be good. Like I think there are
mhm,
also people that go on the shot before they try other alternatives.
avenues, right? And we could do, and we'll probably do another episode about quick fixes because it ties into that. And kind of like the last gem I want to leave off too, because you mentioned it, these medications, and I will say I have seen a positive trend in this, so I will give credit there. But when they first started becoming mainstream popular, I saw a lot of Western medicine doctors prescribing at full strength versus taking a functional approach and starting at that microdose. Because, like you said, a very small dose does a
Goes a
lot.
very long way.
Yeah, less is more with these medications.
Yeah.
And when they first came out, a lot of doctors were just, boom, prescribing, doing the most. And that was to the detriment of those patients, unfortunately. Now I've seen Western medicine get a lot better and they're taking that like titrated microdose approach. But I just want to touch on that really quick to say because I've also seen people that took that full dose and they lost their weight, but now they're also losing their hair and they're bruising. And now we're seeing other fallout with it, with like anemia and nutrient deficiencies, and their thyroid is being affected. So I just want to end kind of on that note again to impress upon everyone the importance of doing your research, understanding how this will affect you, and understanding you do need to get off of it before you start losing your hair, before you start becoming anemic, before you then have hypothyroidism. Ah, this is just so good.
I definitely think that we have part two coming with this because this was really freaking good. Mandy, thank you so much for giving so much value and explaining these things because I truly don't believe that the research is being done before doing anything like before doing these things. There's a lot of word of mouth of, oh, this is
Yeah.
good, this is what I do, this is how I lost this weight here. You should try it too, not considering what needs to be done. So my last little bit of tidbits is A, try different avenues and see what you can do before you do something like this. Try to actually stick to your nutrition. Try to actually go to the gym, hit your steps, drink your water. Actually do those things for an extended period of time, let's say a couple months. If nothing happens from there, revisit with a coach on the inflammation and then
Mhm.
if you are a good applicant and you are eligible for something like this and it's not just silly weight that you need to drop off, explore one of these weight loss
Avenue.
shots. And the second tidbit is just know that this is not meant to fix everything and it won't fix everything. It is a great boost, but you need to do the work.
Yes. Yes. Very important. That's
Oh,
a
and third, don't listen to the shitfluencers on Instagram because they will tell you to take freaking peptides when you're trying to put on weight in order to suppress your appetite, which that's bullshit. But I'll save that for the next one.
yeah. Guys, I do want your input. I do want to hear what you want to hear on another one, but I think in the future it is definitely important for us to talk about the mental and emotional implications for following these social influences and these
And I
trends.
want to clarify that I said peptides. I meant to say retatrutide specifically because there are peptides that can help you with muscle growth. There are peptides that could help with muscle recovery. There are peptides that could help you with those kinds of avenues.
Mhm.
Retatrutide during a growth season, I
Mhm.
digress.
Mhm. Hey. Yeah. Shit, should we do a peptide episode? I don't know, guys. Maybe I'll put a little vote down below. But
Ooh, that's a good idea.
yeah.
I like that. Comment peptides if you want us to do a peptide episode.
You heard the lady. Guys, this was a really great episode. Thank you so much for joining us. Sasha, thank you so much for contributing some really good nuggets to this conversation. I'm going to drop our Instagram information down below where you can also find our coaching information. And our DMs are always open if you guys want to start conversations a little bit further about these weight loss medications and if you kind of want to get like a little bit more of an idea of how to lose some body weight, how to keep some muscle up, we are all here for it. And again, I'll also drop a little support link as well for anybody that may be struggling with their relationship with food or an eating disorder. Guys, thank you again for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next one every Monday.